This one's
Welcome everybody who's joining online. We are going to start in about
you made it, yeah.
All right, we are going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the US 50 Blue Mesa Bridge update meeting. My name is Stacia Sellers. I am CDOT's Public Information Officer. We're conducting the meeting tonight in English, Spanish, and ASL. Before we kick off our updates, we need to go over a few logistics before we get started with our updates and question and answer session. Lindsay Daniels is available to help with any technical issues you may have, and her contact information is going into the chat now. Thank you to Jasmine and Nikki, who are our ASL interpreters, and Miriam and Sylvina, who are our Spanish interpreters for the evening. Our CDOT staff will be conducting this meeting in English. For English, click on the interpretation menu with the globe icon and select Listen in English, or just stay here with me. To turn on or off ASL interpretation, click on the interpretation menu and American Sign Language. I will now turn it over to our Spanish interpreters. Can you please welcome our Spanish speakers? And I don't hear them if they are talking. All right, so for our Spanish audience, please follow the directions that are on the slideshow right now to enable our interpretation feature. In general, thank you everybody for joining us today and taking time out of your evenings to listen to our latest update about the bridge closure. This is a hybrid meeting, and we thank everybody who's joining us in person tonight at the Fred Field Center in Gunnison, as well as everybody who's joining us virtually. This meeting will be divided between an update from CDOT, Hewitt, and Gunnison County, and then it will be followed by a question and answer session in the second half of the meeting. Please feel free to type in questions as you have them, and we will get to them at the end. For those attending in person, Matt Inzio, who is our CDOT Communications Director, is in the room and will be handing over a microphone to those interested in asking a question, or just raise your hand and make sure that you are loud when you are answering or asking your questions so folks online can hear you. And if you please make sure that you're limiting your questions to be under 45 seconds, and this will ensure that we can get to as many questions as possible, as we will have them coming in both online and in person. And we will be trading off questions from in the room and then online, meaning one question will be asked in person, and Matt will then hand it over to me, and then I'll read a question we've received virtually, and so on. It's possible that we're not going to be able to get to everyone's questions tonight. And if we aren't able to, you can always email us at us50bridge@gmail.com. We are also going to be recording your questions as well. If you leave your email, we can get back to you that way. This meeting is going to be recorded, so those who aren't able to attend tonight, if you have friends or family who wanted to join but can't, it is being recorded and will be put onto our website, and then it'll also be posted onto the US 50 Bridge Closure Facebook page. Tonight, we're being joined by Gunnison County Commissioner Hauk, CDOT's Executive Director Shoshana Liu, Region 3 Transportation Director Jason Smith, Kiewit Project Director Jason Proskabek, Gunnison County Assistant County Manager for Public Works, Martin Schmidt. They are all in person tonight, and they will be providing today's updates. We are also joined by Keith Stefanik, who is CDOT's Chief Engineer, and he's able to answer questions virtually. I'm now going to hand it over to Commissioner Hauk.
Great, thank you. And thanks for everyone that's in the room and folks that are online that took time to join this evening. I'm Jonathan Hauk, Chair of the Board of County Commissioners here in Gunnison County. In the room with me is Commissioner Liz Smith and also Commissioner Laura Puckett Daniels, our County Manager Matthew Burney, and our Emergency Manager Scott Morrill, as well as other folks from departments within the county that are been working nonstop with our partners at CDOT and the state to work on this issue. And we appreciate you taking the time to be with us this evening. Just really want to highlight, I think it's important to remind folks that now we're weeks into this issue, and really want to start by saying how much I appreciate whether it's the county staff, CDOT and their staff, or the contractors that have been working and helping with County Road 26 and the inspections, that this effort has been well beyond 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. Folks are working in the evenings, they're working multiple shifts, working through the weekends to make sure that, number one, the safety and the issues required to make sure that we're being as safe as possible, to provide opportunities for connectivity to neighboring communities and for things to flow in and out of our community. But the most important thing is that there have been lots of folks working around the clock from different agencies, working together collaboratively and working in a way that we can make sure that we're preserving the opportunity to keep our county and the people in our county connected to the goods and services they need. And those things flow in and out of our county together. And so, again, really with appreciation and thanks for the work that everyone's been doing. I'm happy to introduce Director Liu, and thanks again for being here in person with us this evening in Gunnison County.
Can you all hear me, or should we put the mic on?
You didn't pick up by this, so just speak loudly.
Okay, how's this? I'm CDOT Executive Director Shoshana Liu. Nice to see a lot of you, and thanks to everyone for the continued attendance at these events. We found them a really helpful way to communicate with all of you, and know it takes a lot of time out of your week to come to these and to sort of share the information that you're hearing. So thank you to everyone for the effort that goes into being part of these discussions. I think we have been making a lot of progress over the last 2 weeks, and you're going to hear some pretty substantial updates coming out of really the intensive work that happened as we completed the first round of inspections and gotten a lot deeper into the construction and repair plan than we were when last we gathered together. So the kind of top line as we go into Memorial Day and sort of knowing that this kicks off the peak season for the everything's okay with the sound for the summer, is that
he was unable to hear you.
We okay?
I think we actually need to move this guy. Well, just move him.
Testing.
That's much better. Thank you.
Okay, we are learning a lot about hybrid public meeting technology as we speak. Just to recap, I'm going to thank you to everybody for being here again, and we're here to really talk about the work that's happened over the last 2 weeks since last we gathered, both on the interim work that we're doing with the county roads, together with the county, to provide as many options as we can in the immediate term, but also to talk about where we are now with the inspection, the work that was being done in the kind of round of inspection has been completed. And you'll hear a little bit about what we found following that, but also about the plan to get this open and back into service. To steal the lead a little bit here, the team has been working incredibly hard towards the goal of thinking about how we do this in pieces to get travelers like yourselves back on that bridge as soon as safely possible, even while some of the work to fix it is still underway. And the plan that we're going to roll out today, if everything goes right, and there's a lot that has to go right, particularly with the climate. I think it was snowing earlier today, but if conditions make it possible, the schedule being laid out today will streamline the work to do the first round of repairs to get it open to limited traffic by July 4th weekend. And that would be, only the first round of repairs. There would be weight limitations. There will be some sort of further restrictions on traffic that we will probably be able to discuss with you more when next we gather. But the idea would be to phase the work so that that first package gets done, before the next holiday weekend as we head into this one. And then the subsequent work packages would further strengthen the less urgent deficiencies that were found on the structure in order to gradually get heavier and more traffic back on the structure, in pieces, with the goal of getting the repairs done ahead of, I would say ahead of snowfall, but I think that's never. Ahead of winter shutdown. This again, the team is being telling you everything that they know and everything that they've told us. So there's a lot of showing their work happening here, and if things change, we'll share that with you as quickly as we know it too. But we're laying out aggressive goals and going to show a schedule so that you have a sense of what has to happen to meet that. So with respect to the county roads, our colleagues in the county continue to do an amazing job keeping them open. I will say that I took the late shift through the closure and into 26 last night, and I missed the 7 o'clock closure like many people do, and waited for that last one, and it was a really seamless experience even late at night. And as I was going through it, just as a kind of normal traveler, I was just really impressed with the work that you all are doing in the county to make it a comfortable experience that feels safely metered but efficient, given a road that wasn't designed for it. So thank you for the additional opening times, and I will leave it to you to talk about what those are again as we head into the holiday weekend.
Yes, so this last Monday, we started having additional release times. We went from 4 release times to 7 on County Road 26. And that allowed for a lot more passage across the road. We do have some closures in the middle of the day, and to explain those, it's to do maintenance and to make sure that we can stay on schedule. If something does happen, if someone gets a flat tire and they're in the middle of the road, we needed a little bit of relief in the middle of the day so that when you show up at 11:30 or at 1:30 to go through, you're going to be going through at that time, and we don't end up with a domino effect pushing those times back for the rest of the day. We also, if there is a major road failure or something that happens, we have a little bit of time to get in there, do a little bit of repair to make sure that it is a seamless trip across County Road 26. We're doing those 7 releases 6 days a week. On Wednesdays, we're not doing a middle of the day release, and that is to give Kiewit a bigger window of repair to keep the road in good shape. As you've traveled it, you've probably noticed, if you've done it multiple times, that it is slowly degrading due to the increased traffic. We've been keeping track of traffic numbers, and so far since the bridge closed, we've exceeded by about 3,000 the cars that this road usually sees in a year. So we are seeing considerably higher demand and pressure on this road. And as we all know, if we aren't able to use this road, we're cutting our community off again. So we're being careful, but pushing those increased accesses. We are watching carefully to the damage that full-size but legal load semi-trucks are doing to this road, to consider what it would look like to have oversized or potentially overweight, still legal to travel the road, but more than the 85,000 pound weight limit as we move forward. But every extra pound over that 85,000 pounds is just an increasing impact on that roadway. We are working diligently behind the scenes to look at other relief valves like County Road 25. We have worked every day since I think the Wednesday after the bridge closure on County Road 12, Kebler Pass. And it was looking really good until this storm came in today. And we've had to cancel 2 days of gravel haul, 2 days of chloride because of this storm. I think if you were outside this morning, you realized it was a lot of water in Gunnison. It was even more. We had over 6 inches of snow. We had to plow off the top of Kebler Pass today, and it soaked the west side as well. It does not seem feasible at this time that we'll have the pass open for this weekend, unfortunately. On the bright note, we are going to be opening Cottonwood Pass on Friday morning. So another way out of the valley is opening up. But we are working as hard and as fast as we can to safely open these roads to traffic, to create as many opportunities for the public as possible. And with that, I'm going to pass off to the important bridge information that Jason Smith has for us.
Thank you, Martin. Yes, I'm Jason Smith, Region 3 Transportation Director. So yeah, as I said, we've been fighting the weather out for over a month now, trying to get our inspections completed. But the team did figure it out finally. We had to shift some of our crews to not more night shift work, because in the days the winds were picking up and we were getting gusts over 40 miles an hour, and it just wasn't safe to work. So once we made that shift and got crews working more at night, they were able to hit more of a steady pace and able to complete the paint removal and all 118 splice locations tested. So with that, now we've been able to get that information on over to the design team. They've been analyzing it and trying to figure out what they're dealing with and putting together the design plans to design. We're not done with all the important inspections at this point. We're calling them secondary inspections that are going to go along with the repairs that we're starting now. We'll continue to inspect all the other components of the bridge. The first round was really just focused on.
Excuse the interruption again. Excuse us, we are having trouble hearing you online.
Getting a lot of feedback.
Now what we got?
Can you hear me better now?
Yes, much better, thank you.
So, yeah, we've been focusing on the 118 splice locations, and those are tension points in the bridge, but we are going to continue to inspect the rest of the components of the bridge as we go along. We're approaching the design in 2 phases, and so then we'll roll it out for construction. And as Director indicated, we have a milestone for the first phase of July 4th that we're trying to hit right now. That's going to focus on 4 critical locations for repairs, and that's 2 of the crack locations that I think you've seen. And if we can pull the slides up, I think we do have some of the pictures in the slide deck. But as we reported last time, we did find the initial 2 cracks in the structure, and that center span, what we'll call span 6. And those 2 are the 2 of the 4 critical repairs. The other 2 critical repairs are where we found a concentration of anomalies that we want to fix at the same time. And once those 4 locations are stabilized and repaired, then that's when we feel like we can put more loads onto the structure. And then throughout the rest of the summer and into the fall, we'll have the phases we discussed earlier with traffic, and it'll be intermittent when we'll allow traffic on the bridge and what size of loads it will be able to accommodate. But hopefully that'll increase as we go along through the summer. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Jason Bosnick with Hewitt Infrastructure.
Okay, and can you advance the next slide to the schedule slide? Okay, so right here, this is a schedule for what this first phase of repairs, which are the local emergency repairs. So right here you can see 90% design is in the works this week, and it concurrently with 90% design this week, we're also doing shop drawings for the steel fabrication. So that'll be done by the end of this week. The other thing that you'll see this week happening, we're performing some final field measurements out there on the bridge just to confirm that the design drawings we have are what's in the field. So then what we'll see here this week and next week is also paint removal. So we have to do additional paint removal at these local repair locations prior to putting the steel plates on the structure. Once that paint removal is complete, we'll also install the quick deck in these 4 locations to allow safe access for our crews. Fabrication will start for the first 27 tons of steel here next week. And we expect the first plates to hit here in Gunnison at the Blue Mesa by June 10th. And then at that time, we'll have 2 shifts. We'll have 3 crews per shift operating, 10 to 12 hours per shift. So really 20 to 24 hours per day, really until we open the bridge on July 4th. One other thing that has to happen once the repairs are complete, we also will mill off, there's 3 inches of asphalt. That's a wearing surface on top of the bridge. We will remove that to lessen the dead load on the structure. And then restripe it and then open it to some level of service on July 4th.
We go to the next slide. So I just wanted to show you here what we found. This is the initial crack that was identified back on April 11th. Just wanted to put these renderings together. They built a model of the bridge, and you can see here in the background picture, and then the location of the crack. It's at span 6, which is the center span of the structure. So I just wanted to kind of go through here, let you know, during the visual inspection, that's when the crack was identified originally. And then through further investigation with the ultrasonic testing, we were able to identify that, further anomalies in the structure along with the crack in the adjacent girder. In response to all this, in-depth inspections did get completed all the way through the entire structure itself and adjacent girder. And that's what caused the full closure at the time and limited the loads that we were able to put on the structure itself. At this time, our team, our design teams all looked at it, they've analyzed it and tried to figure out what we can put back for loading onto the structure. And throughout the construction process, we'll be adding those loads back in. Next slide, please. And so this picture here just kind of shows you another idea of all the anomalies that we found on the entire structure. And this is just from one side. If you go to the other side, you can see kind of something similar. But overall, we found about 183 anomalies. And when we say anomalies, again, those are defects in the welds, because these are the splice joints. And that's the concern that we're wanting to address right now. But those anomalies were built into the structure. Those welds, whenever they were created, they had hydrogen pockets. And so those anomalies are not, what we're worried about is being an imminent anomaly that would immediately be a threat to the structure itself. The cracks, once they're fixed, that's what we were worried about with the threat. And so these anomalies can be repaired and reinforced during, loads onto the structure. So just to kind of ease everybody's mind, the anomalies have been there this entire time. We will have to address those, but if we feel that the calculated, the structure safe, and we're able to put loads back on to the bridge during construction and run throughout the project.
Can I just interject in response to a point that's come up a few times in our conversations about these inspections versus the other inspections that typically occur? We've gotten a lot of questions about sort of what was different about this set of inspections than the ones that would normally occur, whether the bridge had passed previous inspections. And the answer is that it has gone through, every bridge that we've had was on the same cycle. It has to go through routine inspections required by the Federal Highway Administration. And like the other bridges that are open to service, these bridges have passed that normal inspection process. The way that these were identified for this additional process that kicked off this whole situation we're in is that there was a requirement that a couple of years ago from the Federal Highway Administration, because a certain type of steel bridge had issues like this one, and they tasked every state DOT to go do like a full inventory of all the bridges in the state to find out if there were other ones that had the characteristics that would make it at risk of this kind of thing. So the reason that it took a while to get to this sort of secondary special type of inspection was that the bridge team had to go through and do a plan by plan inventory of every bridge in the state to find the ones that had the kind of historical characteristics that these ones do, and they didn't identify those until it was too late to do it last winter. So that's how we sort of got to here. And it's not the normal inspection process to pick this up, but one that was put in place because of a multi-year process required by the Federal Highway Administration, given issues with similarly structured other kinds of steel bridges and other places. Sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to mention that since it's come up a few times.
Okay, so next slide, please. So this is just a picture of the local plating that we talked about here last time, and these are the emergency local repairs for the safety critical locations. That these repairs are required to put some level of traffic back on this bridge. So actually, just looking at these plates here, so there's 4 of these plates that will have to be installed. Just the size of these plates, they're 2.5 inches thick, 30 inches wide, and approximately 27 feet long, with fill plates on the top. So there's a plate on the bottom and a plate on the top. There's also 280 bolts per each one of these locations, and 7 tons of steel per location. And these are the repairs that will be completed by July 4th. Okay. So there's just gives you a pretty good look and feel for what has to be accomplished on the structure. And, you know, the picture we showed before of the crack, that's one of these areas that will get this type of repair. So then next slide, please. So this slide is what we're calling the global local plating. And it's really the permanent repairs that focus on repairing all of these anomalies that the picture Jason Smith showed earlier, to really make these repairs to get the bridge back to its original condition. Now these repairs, and you can see there's just multiple repairs along the entire length of this structure. You know, not quite as big, but just quite a few of them throughout. So these repairs will take a little bit longer in duration to complete, and they'll also be able to perform safely in between these traffic intervals that will open here on July 4th. So as these repairs are made, there'll also be a gradual increase in loading on the structure over time. These repairs are completed. So these permanent repairs are what we're targeting to complete in the fall. So by this Halloween, October deadline. And as we get into the further design, this part of the repairs are still in design right now to be completed.
Stacy, I think we're done with the presentation in the room.
All right. Do you want to have the first question come from in the room, Matt?
Sir, go ahead and just if you can speak into the owl so folks online can hear it too.
I can probably speak loud enough that everybody can hear me. Adam Griffith with Sunport, also the US 50 bridge closure, Little Blue Canyon Facebook page. And I've got a couple of quick questions that I'm sure everybody answers, but one of the ones that affects me the most is why did the time change for east-west bound? Because now it's going to affect the road construction in the canyon. So instead of only having one opening during the mornings and evenings affecting the road construction, now it's going to affect 3 times. So now instead of getting up and leaving at 6:30 in the morning, now I get to leave at 5:30 in the morning to come up from Gunnison or from Montrose to Gunnison.
It was because we saw more pressure on the Montrose side more early to get to the Gunnison side. So we had initially wanted to have the releases the way they are now, based on the traffic loading. But because of sage grouse issues in that area where we typically had a closure, we had them the other way until this increased opening happened. So we reverted back to be responsive to the pressures of traffic to get here.
Well, you probably would have seen a less increase of traffic had you had that second opening instead of just the 2 in the morning and 2 in the evening. So, you know, just saying you're getting, like this morning, there was definitely a lot less, especially with CDOT not plowing in the morning. There's a lot of people I saw turn around. You know, there's still a lot of people, and plus people going home in the evening, you're going to see a lot more increases in the evening as well.
Great, thank you. Question coming in virtually. When Kepler Pass does open, will there be pilot vehicles or scheduled departures?
At this time, the only traffic control that we're looking at on Kepler Pass is making sure that we don't have any vehicles that exceed the currently in place weight and length restrictions for the road, so that we don't end up with people having accidents on the sharp and narrow curves on the 31-mile long high mountain highway. And so we are not looking at pilot vehicles. We're not looking at release times, but we are going to make sure that we don't end up with inappropriate vehicles going across the road. Those restrictions are 30,000 pounds and 50-foot vehicle length. And so that is the intended restriction on that road. And that has been in place for years now. We have always added gravel and chlorided Kepler Pass. Kepler Pass gets more chloride most of the time, multiple times per year, in order to keep it in shape. And really, there isn't a set date for opening it. We kind of listen to Mother Nature and try to open it as soon as we can. The only reason we've been able to get up there and try to get it open this year before Memorial Day is because CDOT was able to show up with snow blowers and do something we've never done before, which is blow snow off that road. But we've gotten in excess of 3 feet of fresh snow since we blew it open, which continues to saturate the road. The other day, we were digging a ditch to try to deal with a soft spot in the road, and we had about a foot of frozen ground that we were digging through. So we're still seeing frost in the road. And really what's happening right now on Kepler Pass is that we're fighting Mother Nature and just the temperatures that we've had this spring and weather. So my staff has been doing an incredible job trying to get it open. And unfortunately, we have been dealt 2 storms that have really set us back, and several small rainstorms. I left Gunnison in the blue sky, left Crested Butte in the blue sky, and was running my wipers over by Lost Lake. So even when it feels okay here or feels okay over in the Paonia area, that is a different climate. And that is really what we're dealing with up there right now.
And I think it'd be worth adding as well, though we're not able to get it open this weekend, the efforts of CDOT mobilizing some larger equipment that we don't have, working with the county crews, that work isn't lost because it will still be open earlier than if we followed our normal routine of letting it kind of melt out. And so the culvert replacements and the work that you guys have done up there is significantly advanced the time frame, even with it not opening this weekend.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. When and if this opens up July 4th weekend, you guys said limited traffic and weight restriction possible. Are you talking 2-way traffic? Are you talking pilot car with a 1-way traffic or just stop sign? I mean, what is it going to be like when it does open?
Well, yeah, I mean, it'll be 1 way. And I don't think we've determined if it's piloted or flaggers, but it will be 1 way. It'll be 1 way. It'll be 1 way, so we'll let one go, let the other go.
All the way through the Little Canyon? No, just the bridge.
Just a bridge, you'll be stopping on each side of the bridge and then releasing, and then Little Blue Canyon, puts within for, getting traffic to as quick as possible.
Are you going to try to get it to where it can continue? I mean, like, if you stop on going westbound on the bridge, once you get going, we're going to stop again in the canyon, or will they be coordinated enough to go?
We're actually meeting with the Federal Highway Administration tomorrow, and we've requested a meeting with the leadership of the Federal Highway Administration in a week or two to really push them to get done as fast as they can, because the traffic obstructions were supposed to be much more limited all season regardless, and now we are hopeful that they can accelerate somewhat while this disruption is happening. We're trying, and we'll report back on what we learned from them, but it should be a lot less of an impact than it was last season.
That was my next question with all this traffic slowdown. I mean, they should be able to get what they need to get done quicker.
We agree, and we're going to keep pushing.
All right, next question online is, how did we get to this point? What warning signs were missed, if any?
I would say no warning signs are missed. Everything's kind of, I mean, everything has worked as planned in that sense. As of FHWA gave us notice, we had to do all the research as Director Lou said, go find the bridges in the state. We have thousands of bridges. We had to do the research and find out which ones have this certain steel, this design, fracture critical design. We found these two structures. We got out there, we did the inspections, we found what we needed to find, and now we're mitigating and repairing. You know, the unfortunate part with these structures is just the impact to the communities. If this was in Denver somewhere where there's, you know, a quick short detour, wouldn't be a big deal at all to shut them down. But as we all know, out here in the Western Slope, it is more challenging. We don't have the redundancy of the system, and the impacts are greater. So, in that sense, I guess I look at this as a success. The structure standing, we're going to end up with a fully repaired structure at the end of the summer, and hopefully we get another 20-25 years life out of it.
Yes, ma'am. Just kind of speaking of the white microphone.
Okay, is that the bridge by the Dillon Pinnacle or the second bridge?
So the renderings you saw on the graphics, that's the middle bridge over.
Bridge by the Dillon.
Yeah.
By the Dillon Pinnacle?
Yes.
So how do you get access to County 26?
149.
What?
It is. It's between the Lakeport Bridge and the middle bridge. So to access it,
Via
yeah,
149.
149 from Highway 50 down, and then down to Road 26 out the highway.
Jason, can you please repeat that question and then answer it into the mic? We weren't able to hear that.
The question was, how do you access County Road 26 essentially from the 50 area? And the answer was that you take 149.
Great, thank you. All right, next question online is, given how busy 4th of July weekends usually are traffic-wise, should people plan on a detour anyway to be on the safe side?
I missed the very end of that question. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Should people plan on, I'll just ask the entire question again. Given how busy 4th of July weekends usually are traffic-wise, should people plan on a detour anyway to be on the safe side?
I think leaving the hour that it would take to use the 26 route would probably be prudent, because if it opens shortly before 4th of July with limitations, it's going to be slower than usual. And, you know, I think particularly for holiday traffic, it's always prudent to leave extra time, because traffic is intense on these weekends in the summer, and their equivalents in the winter. So I think, yeah, well, you know, it's prudent, particularly for recreational travel, to plan extra time.
I think you should plan extra time, but so far we've been able to get everyone that shows up through and on time. And so we're seeing, you know, an additive of 45 minutes to travel time, and unless you get stuck in traffic, and then an extra hour. I don't know that you need to plan on a 6-hour detour. I think you can get to Gunnison utilizing the County Road 26 detour.
And I think another thing worth highlighting is, you know, we work TAP, the Tourism and Prosperity Project. Those are the ones who do the marketing, and they do the data collection of our visitors and where folks are coming from. And our summertime visitors, the lion's share of our visitors that are in state are coming from the Front Range. So there's no obstructions to them getting to Gunnison and Crested Butte. And then also, when we talk about our second homeowners and a lot of our seasonal out of state, those folks that are driving are coming from Texas and Oklahoma. That's the majority of them coming. So they're coming up through New Mexico, which brings them up through the San Luis Valley. They're able to get here without obstruction. And then we also know that, you know, folks that fly into our community, there's no obvious issues with them flying right into the Gunnison airport. Now, some folks use the Montrose airport, and they'll be able to utilize the openings. But when we look at the numbers of who visits Gunnison County in the summer in the Gunnison Basin, the majority of those folks are coming in the drive market from the east. We're not ignoring that folks come from every direction. And of course, we still have access through Lake City. We have access through the San Luis Valley. Kebler will be open from the west by the time we get there. So that's a relief valve, and the increased amount of openings utilizing County 26 as the bypass. So there's a mix of different pieces. Availability becomes greater, though we know we can get snow in July. As the director mentioned, we're not going to get enough that it's going to close Kebler, you know, so weather and those things by the time we get to the 4th of July are all in our community's favor.
Next question here.
My name is Susan Taylor. Welcome to Gunnison. My question is about messaging. This information here is available on GunnisonCounty.org. I've seen it. I get a lot of phone calls, US citizens. They will go to cotrip.org. Will this information be available to them on cotrip.org so that they know that there is a shorter detour? It's been all based, their information is what was on the news weeks ago, saying the 5-hour detour to the north and the 6-hour detour to the south. So they're canceling reservations, making other plans before they can even call us to cancel their reservations in Gunnison, but they don't have the correct information. Can we provide this to them in a way that they can see it on cotrip.org?
Can one of the speakers please repeat that question?
Yeah, I'll take this one, Station. I'll just repeat it into the microphone for the folks online. The question was about the local detour on County Road 26, which currently is not on cotrip.org. We set it up that way initially in collaboration with the county, trying to make sure that longer trips, someone who's going, from the east all the way to Utah, for example, would choose I-70 or choose US 160. I think in particular, as local traffic patterns shift here and some of the tourism travel, picks up, we're certainly happy to continue to revisit the messaging that we're putting up there to make sure that, folks who are planning to come to the Gunnison Valley for summer recreation, understand that they can continue to do that. So that's absolutely a place where we can huddle with the county and make adjustments as needed.
So is it going to be put on cotrip.org? Because I direct people to that.
Yeah, I think if the county is comfortable with us putting a local detour on the site, we would be more than happy to. But we also want to respect the fact that it's a county road, and particularly early on, we didn't want. We didn't want people traveling from Kansas to Salt Lake City to think that this was suddenly a good route for them to take.
And we don't want to direct more of the commercial motor vehicle traffic onto the route than they need to be there to provide for the communities on both sides. So trying to get the right balance to keep the recreational traffic, moving safely, but to not have anyone who types into the, matrix get put onto the county road, is what we were aspiring for. But I think we can work on a solution that addresses that, and we welcome your further feedback as we test some solutions.
And I will say that some of the messaging has been updated on those releases, and so it includes those visiting the area, because I think there's been a little confusion about visitor versus local. So it says for those visiting the area as well. And I do know that a couple lodging properties and some events coordinators have reached out. They've taken that information, and of course they have databases. I spoke to Tim at Gunnison Trails, for example. They've got their event coming up. They're able to take everyone that's coming as a participant, take this data sheet, send it out electronically to everyone coming. I know that a lodging property reached out and said, can we use these graphics? We've got our database. We've got the emails of people that have, reservations with us. We want to get it out to them so they know. So we're trying to do it not all so it's on the shoulders of those of you that have campgrounds and accommodations and events, but also we're trying to manage that. I know Celeste in the chamber has been really strong in trying to help us understand how to dial that in and coordinate that some as well. So messaging is challenging, because if we overload the local resources and lose the road completely, then we've got to close it for a while to build it back. And so that balancing act that you're pointing out is one that we're trying to make sure that we're finding a nice balance to as well.
And a limited opening on 50, even with a lot of restrictions, would immediately show up on cotrip, because the way that the typical CDOT formula works for this is that the detour or the main route are on the state highways, and that information would populate as a matter of normal practice. The difference here is that we're in partnership with the county using a local detour in a way that's much more intensive than we would normally message a local detour.
Yeah, I'm the chamber visitor center person. Even if cotrip, if you can put our number on, you're welcome. We are taking calls daily, and we're welcome if you're seeing traveling local to Gunnison, contact the visitor center. We're happy to do that.
We're happy to look at options. And figure out what works. Again, we get the traffic we want, and not the traffic we don't.
And seeing head nods from the county, we'll work on a draft, and we can all work offline to get the right balance.
Can you please repeat that comment and then the answer to that? We weren't able to hear that online.
Essentially, the answer is that there's openness to this concept from everyone here, and we'll keep working on specific language and make sure everybody's okay with it before we post it.
Great, thank you. Next question online is, will there be restrictions on vehicle size on County Road 25 and 12?
Yes, I did just answer on County Road 12, 30,000 pounds and 50 feet in length. We have assessed the corners and grades on County Road 25 and determined that a wheelbase 50, so a 50-foot long vehicle, is the longest vehicle to then safely negotiate the curves on County Road 25. So when County Road 25 opens, it would be limited to a 50-foot length of vehicle.
And for those listening that might not know, Kepler Pass, of course, is locally how we refer to it. That is County Road 12. So 12 and Kepler are the same, to clarify the question.
Ma'am, go ahead, sorry.
Hi, Nancy Gunnison. You, after this is all said and done, I guess you're not gonna leave 26 improved, are you, or are you? I mean, after everything's done, is that still gonna be a road that people use a lot?
We haven't contemplated removing the gravel or the soft spot repairs. The work that was done to County Road 26 didn't widen the road or have any impact to the area that wasn't already impacted. So leaving the gravel there is going to be have very little impact on the natural setting of that area. So we aren't anticipating removing that material.
All right, great. Next question online is, it's been over a month now since the bridge closure. We have not heard anything from the relief fund to help our local businesses. What is the update on assistance? Kevin, I see you. Yep.
We are still doing assessments, and for those of you who don't know, I'm the director of Homeland Security and Emergency Management for the state. One of the challenges that we have is that most of the programs that we have and the federal programs we have are for natural disasters, right? And this is not a natural disaster, so there are really no specific programs to help individuals or businesses. There are we are doing assessments with our the State Recovery Task Force and the Office of Economic Development and International Trade to see if we can demonstrate damages to businesses through some survey tools that are going out. But that would, look at Small Business Administration loans, and most of the people that we've talked to are not interested in taking out a loan, even though the interest rates are good. What they're looking for is our grant funds, and they're just not really available. So we're continuing to kind of push on that. We're also working with, for our producers, with the Department of Agriculture, looking at what we can do there. But yeah, the problem that we have is that this is not a natural disaster, and so the relief that we have in our shop and through FEMA and through some of the federal programs that would possibly go to individuals, it just isn't going to be available.
I think we're ready for the next question in the room, sir.
Chris Klein Construction. I just first off wanted to say, I think you guys are doing a great job. We appreciate it. Every business in town here is being affected one way or the other. I have employees that live in Montrose, and they're struggling. We're struggling. We're putting them up in lodging, campgrounds, getting some extra fuel money, giving them extra hours. But they're hurting, and that trickle down effect is we're seeing it in delivery fees. We're seeing just supply chain disruptions with just not like our normal suppliers just not wanting to come up here, cancel routes, things like that. But with that said, I feel like you guys have done a great job. Thank you. My question is actually, once the inspection is done on the middle bridge, did I hear correctly, is you're going to go and inspect the Lake Fork Bridge or the Saponaro Bridge, I think you guys call it. And when that happens, I'm assuming that with the traffic will have to stop over that bridge when that inspection happens. Is that true, or is it limited closures, or what does that look like?
What happens when you do find issues?
Yeah, so two separate questions there. So yeah, are we gonna move our inspections over to the Lake Fork Bridge is the question. The answer is yes. Right now, as we finished up on the middle bridge, we're reassessing now what our team's gonna do to move over to the Lake Fork Bridge and take our crew over there. We're trying to figure out to be more strategic at this time, right? It's not reacting.
Use the information we have.
Exactly.
We know a lot more than we did.
And we didn't find any cracks on our initial inspections on that structure. So right now, it's more of we're gonna go in there and do the more thorough UT testing. So we have to do the paint removal, we have to do the UT testing. All of that will be done with one lane of traffic. We'll have to close one lane, but it'll be controlled. If in the event we happen to find something, we're gonna have to do it, right? So we're trying to still be strategic on what we're gonna do there. So now that we know what we're doing on the middle bridge, it puts us in an advantage, right? We have the design team already come up with the design, we have the materials, so we can hopefully have all that ready and available. And if we need to move, we can move really quick and get that done in immediate fashion. It won't take us nearly as long on that structure, but it has this middle bridge. So hopefully we can minimize the impacts. I can't say there won't be any impacts, but our plan right now, moving forward with that structure, is to try to keep traffic on it the entire time, alternating directions.
And the team is working on the construction preparation in a way that assumes that they'll have to do some work on the other bridge as well, which includes getting the materials ready and the designs ready, so that there's, to the extent that the issues are, could be similar to what's on the other bridge, it's much easier to plug in the solutions that have been developed in much shorter timeframes. So everybody is working right now to be able to kind of make, identify, and then if there's an issue, use the
Do you
same.
foresee the contractor being allowed to purchase steel
We've
quickly for that other bridge also?
Well, I think the intent would be is that the repair that we showed on the screen there.
Yeah.
Right, to have, it's a smaller bridge, maybe a little bit smaller repair, get that design, get the materials here. And then have one lane of traffic open while those repairs are made in tandem with the inspection, right? So a more stepped approach to where we get ready, we get our quick deck out, they remove the paint, they do the inspection, we have the plate there, put the plate up, and still allow one lane of traffic. That's the intent and the direction we're going to take.
We tell my crews every day, hurry up, winter's coming. So just,
we agree.
Just for the record, thank you.
Great, thank you so much. This next question is going to be for Keith Stefanik. Appreciate all the work to repair, but wondering if new cracks were to appear in another year or so, at what point would you see a need to replace the bridge so that there's not a perpetual repair situation?
Thanks, Stacia. Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Keith Stefanik. I'm the Chief Engineer for CDOT. Right now, with the safety inspections and the safety inspections that were completed that Jason Smith addressed a little bit earlier in the presentation, we feel very comfortable on what we know about the bridge and the defects that are in the bridge. The defects have occurred on this bridge over many years as it was constructed in the 1960s. As Jason indicated, the issue with this bridge is that these defects are internal to the welds. We found 2 surface cracks on the bridge. Those surface cracks are what shut down the bridge. That is these internal cracks can be repaired. The surface cracking has indicated that these problems don't only exist internally, but externally on this bridge. So that was a major concern for us. We shut the bridge down. We wanted to make sure that there was no more cracks on the bridge. These cracks are not what you would pick up in a normal routine inspection of this bridge. This requires a lot more hands-on critical safety inspections mandated by FHWA with these type of T1 steel bridges. So that is where we ran into this issue. Now, with that said, the repairs that we are programming for this bridge that hopefully will be completed by October. We have the initial repairs that will open it up to limited traffic by July 1st. The more permanent repairs that will be completed in October of this year. That should put permanent traffic back on the structure. It should not be load restricted. It should be handling traffic just like it was prior to the closure of this bridge. We will start assessing what would need to be done to replace this bridge in a future state. We think that these repairs will add many years to the current life of this structure, but we will, from a planning effort, CDOT will be looking at longer term solutions as this comes down. We do not expect this bridge to be deteriorating as fast as it did with these welds. We think these welds were there for many, many years. We just started experiencing this issue across the other states, other DOTs that had this issue. That's why FHWA issued a memorandum for all states to inspect these to make sure that we did not have a catastrophic failure of a bridge collapse. So we caught this ahead of time, but we do plan on taking long-term looks into the future for these both of these bridges.
I think we're ready for the next question in the room. Yes, sir.
Again, I know planning, we should hopefully Lakeport Bridge should not be shut down. But heaven forbid you get in there and find it where you need to shut down. What are your guys' alternatives for traffic detours?
You gotta go.
Well, geographically speaking, the next best detour is County Road 25. But like I spoke to earlier, the largest safe load that could go over there would be a 50-foot length piece of equipment, combination vehicle. We would have Kebler open by that time as well. So we will also be able to get in and out going that way, but it also has a 50-foot length restriction. So we are aware that it would have continued massive impacts on the community. But the reality is there aren't too many ways to straighten out County Road 25 switchbacks, nor get rid of the 10% grade. And so we're kind of working with the road that has been there since the 1880s and continue to make sure that there's access for the community to the west as much as possible. And I think that CDOT has spoken to the fact that they're going to do everything within their power to try to keep the bridge open and have Middle Bridge open to one-way traffic by 4th of July. So I prefer to look at the bright spot and be an optimist on this, but we are doing some planning for worst case scenario as well.
Yeah, and just in terms of phasing, the work to open up those county roads would be ahead of the inspection for the worst case scenario planning. But again, the plan A, B, and C here is to make sure that the team is staged to be able to do the inspections sequentially, and if they find issues, to be able to very quickly deploy localized solutions based on all the analysis they've done on the other bridge. Which, given the similarities in the construction, if the downside is that there could be similar issues because of the similarity, the upside is that the solutions will be much more easily replicable, and they've done an awful lot of the analysis front loaded on the other bridge.
And we are working with Gunnison County right now, CDOT and Gunnison County, we're looking at County Road 25, analyzing it, seeing what level of improvements would be needed to bring that facility up to be an adequate detour route.
Great, thank you. Next question coming in. Can you briefly discuss how lead paint containment is being handled on this workplace for the safety of work can you hear me? Okay, sorry. I'll repeat the question. Can you briefly discuss how lead paint containment is being handled on this workplace for the safety of the workers and contamination of Blue Mesa Reservoir? Who is handling lead paint control?
Want to handle that?
Yeah, I can handle that. So it's not, there's not lead, it's not lead paint. We did sample all the paint, got the results back. There is heavy metals in the paint, not out of the ordinary. And there is containment. We've had, thorough reviews of the containment plan by the appropriate environmental personnel. And we're handling all the paint removals appropriately to that. We're ready for the next one in the room.
Randy Clark, I'm sure you're from here, Gunnison on Highway 50. And I guess my question is, part of it, John, how is, I think you'd be surprised at how much business Gunnison gets from people that are passing. Highway 50 is a pretty main thoroughfare, how much business we get from people actually going through to Utah, out of California, as opposed to just the people from the front range. I agree with you, a lot of people from the front range, but at least in my business on 50, I get a lot of people that you stop and they're passing through on 50, and now Gunnison is not their destination. They have to go either a 6-hour round or whatever. The other thing is, you guys might have a real surprise for you. If you say you've already had 3,000 more cars on 26 than you've had in a year on 26, and you're going to open a month. When summer gets here, it's, so my question is, when we open the bridge up to one-way traffic, is that going to allow 50 campers? I mean, what would the rate restriction? Would it be more for semis? Would it be, the weight restriction on the bridge?
I think it's a great question. We don't have all of the answers on what the specific restrictions will be quite yet. We intend to address that at the next discussion like this, probably in 2 weeks' time. So we'll be able to report back on that as we get closer to the date. But we know that that's an issue to go into more depth on in the next discussion.
Great, thank you. Next question is going to be for Jason Smith. What happens if and when I-70 has a closure?
Not a theoretical question. It happened last week.
Yeah, it happens. It's just been minimal at this point, but it depends on where something would, an incident would happen on I-70, Glenwood Canyon, for instance. We would route traffic the best we can, with the detour routes we have. Every incident is different. So it depends on the duration of the incident and what we have available. We work with our local counties, our emergency service groups, everybody just to try to coordinate those efforts, and we'll detour to the routes that we can and the quickest and available.
Next question in the room. Stacia, we don't have any hands up here, so if you want to keep going online for a little bit, we can take some more from you.
Yes, so we have one that wasn't directly answered, but maybe we can add some more clarity. So after initial construction, is an inspection done? How are the 183 anomalies not identified?
Yeah, so I'll take that. So they're internal into the weld. That's why they weren't identified. It takes the special testing apparatus, the ultrasonic testing, which originally, whenever the bridge was constructed, wasn't even available. So the original bridge was analyzed using radiography. So then through the years, now that we have ultrasonic testing, that's what's starting to identify the anomalies, defects in these bridges now, is because the technology is there currently. And so as other states have gone through this, we're kind of tagging on to the end of it, and we're able to take this technology and utilize it and see into the bridge and see what the problems are with construction. So it's nothing you can see visually. So our inspectors did not miss it through all these different inspections on the regular routine. So it's just one of those things that we're finally there with our technology. We're able to find and mitigate at this point.
Great, thank you. Next question is there a plan to use Alpine Plateau Road as a bypass for two-way traffic between Highway 50 to Highway 149?
No, not at this time. Alpine Plateau Road is about 27 miles long. The south side is single lane with pullouts for people to get past each other, with consequential drop-offs on the side of it. And it just is not an efficient route when you have 26 or 25 as an opportunity. It is definitely a third best north-south road in this vicinity. So at this time, there aren't any plans to do any work that way.
Great, thank you. One lane of Kepler Pass Road near mile marker 1 has slid down the hillside. Is the remaining lane stable enough to handle the anticipated additional traffic?
Yes, all signs indicate that the reason that section of road slid is because it has been a fill slope that is additional to the original roadway. So the roadway that is currently there is stable and has been stable for a very long time. The cracks in the pavement are a fill slope that was done probably unintentionally by an operator over the years, and that sloughed a little bit. We have a geotechnical engineer group that's going to look at it, and an engineering group that has looked at it and done LiDAR survey of it to see if it's moving and how big the slump is. And it's about 10 feet deep, so it's not the entire hillside. We anticipate, or we plan on putting in automated traffic lights at that location for the anticipated additional traffic that we'll see on Kepler. So it will be a typical street stoplight to make sure that we can get cars through one way each way at the 1 mile mark.
Those work really well. I mean, even on some paved roads, like on Independence Pass, we've been using those for the last few seasons. They're extremely effective. They've made the narrows much safer and more manageable. So that it's a proven technology for managing tight spots.
Additionally, it's about 700 feet that's narrow through there. So it is not a long space that would be controlled by these lights.
So you're gonna put a stoplight in Crested Butte?
Not in Crested Butte. No stoplight in Crested Butte.
All right. Next question is for Martin. This individual has been driving on County Road 25 for the past 20 years and feels that the road is in pretty good shape. So they don't understand what you mean by repairs that are needed on the road. So can you explain what we're going to be doing on County Road 25?
Sure. One of the reasons that the road is in the same shape as it's always been in is because it's been closed, because there's a barricade keeping traffic from going across it. There are several locations on that road that don't get absolutely terrible because the traffic count is very low. The last traffic count we did on that road was 56 cars per day. And so if it became a viable detour, we're looking at 1,000 cars per day. Absolutely blowing the old numbers out of the water. And as we've seen on 26, even after the repairs, the additional traffic adds additional stress. We have never done chloride on about 10 miles of that road. We've done it once or twice on the north side for a mile. We do it almost annually on the southern 6 miles because of the grade. 10.5% slope is more than any state highway. Looking over at Jason Smith. So very steep. And then we have several sections that right now have inverted crown. Basically, the entire road is a pothole. You drive through the whole thing. 6, 8 a foot of water was in them during the last storm. And so it's repairing those things to be able to manage the increased load of traffic. If we thought it was going to get the same traffic it always gets, we would blade it in July like we typically do it. And so I think that it is a different situation and needs to be addressed differently. So we're also looking at signage, chevrons and curve signs and things like that, because people that aren't used to that road, that haven't been driving it for 20 years, a couple of those switchbacks really sneak up on you. And so we want to make sure that if we do open it as a bypass, it's safe for everyone. One serious accident is a failure for us on a detour route like that. And so we want to do everything we can to mitigate that situation.
And I think it's really important to highlight what Martin just said, as far as, we live here, this is our community, we drive roads like this all the time. And we're very familiar with how to drive on these dirt roads, the exposure, things of that nature. A lot of the folks that travel Highway 50, that's a new experience for them. And so we might say that road's got plenty of width, or there's places to pull it out. But other folks don't have that level of knowledge or experience driving on unpaved mountain roads. And so we really have to think through what those safety issues are as well. Remembering that when an issue happens there, that's going to pull our EMS folks, our law enforcement folks. And when they deploy to these more rural areas, that creates pockets of need and responsibility for other needs within the community. And so when we talk about roads, the experts like Martin and partners at CDOT, they're taking on the road piece. But within managing this incident, there are all of these other pieces that are being considered. And you think about a county as large as Gunnison County, you start deploying law enforcement and EMS to far corners. That also means that things that are happening in other areas of the corner, where do we pull resources when there's multiple incidences happening at the same time? And so just a reminder, as we think about roads, it's not just roads. It is, how do we stay open? How do we maintain the ability to serve everyone from a health, safety, and welfare standpoint? And so there's multiple layers that go into the decisions that are made, not just, can that road be driven on today or tomorrow?
And just to give you a real life example, when Glenwood Canyon was closed a few summers ago, we had an issue where Google was rerouting anyone who was intending to traverse that route over very rural and paved roads. And it quickly absorbed an awful lot of law enforcement and first responder time, because you were getting campers, cars, trucks in some cases stuck in these places they really shouldn't have been. In that case, it was because you had the kind of automatic GPS navigator sending folks to them, not even telling them that they were unpaved in some cases. But the risks of those roads not staying open very long, but also diverting a lot of time and energy quickly, are very real, and we've seen that happen.
So one of the other things you talk about driving 50, and they think they can drive Kemper Pass, and how we know what the roads are like. Speed is a real critical thing. Most of those people drive those dirt roads fast. I mean, and if the road is gravel, it fishtail a lot.
Yep, I think from the very beginning with the bridge closure, it's safety. From the bypass, it's safety. From additional relief valves, it's safety, right? We're really trying to make sure that stays the primary goal of all of the actions that we're taking from every level.
And remembering that often the incidences aren't, like a terrible car accident, but folks driving on these roads fast, it's very common for them to slash a sidewall, get a tire that they can't repair. Then you immobilize a vehicle in the middle of a road, and now everyone that's backed up, I'm going to turn around, I'm going to get around them, I'm going to get off road. And that is usually the domino effect that impacts everything.
Even on I-70, which is a lot more accessible, those are the incidents that cause hours upon hours upon hours of closures every time there's a snowstorm. They're mostly routine slide offs, not traffic incidents.
And maybe just to highlight, kind of where we are from the beginning to now, I hope there's some understanding that the progression is we keep moving forward. From the day the bridge was closed, immediate action by the county and then with CDOT was to say, how can we get EMS, law enforcement, and people with absolute critical health needs through? That was established. Then Kiewitz working the road to handle this level. As soon as they got the road build complete, we opened up to multiple times a day. And then just this week, even more passages. Everything keeps moving. And I know that's not the pace everyone wants. It doesn't meet everyone's needs. But one of the things for a community to be able to do, and we've really stressed, if safety is the most important lens we see this through, one of the things, and maybe Randy, to your comment about the economic viability, one of the worst things for the community is to be in this place where it's open. No, now we've had to close it. Now we're going to open it again. Now we're going back to closing it. When you have that steady increase of access, times, availability, what we're doing is we're increasing the volume that's coming back to the community, and we're doing it safely. And so I think that's really important. And we talked a little bit in the first meeting about the concept of going slow to go fast. As long as you're moving forward, as long as you're creating more access, more times, more weight, more materials, more workers, we're really working in that direction. And because of that, we have not had to go back. We haven't had to stop and then close 26 for a complete major overhaul, because we're allowing spaces in between for the contractors and the workers to be able to be in there and keep it in a way that is durable over time and can be used.
Curious, on County Road 26, it's pretty popular. I mean, there are a ton of BLM roads that shoot off from that, which normally that would go on the 15th. Are you guys gonna let people, I mean, because it's, I don't know if this, I want to say real popular, but I mean, there are a lot of people that camp down in there, and do a lot of four-wheeling down in there. Are those BLM roads gonna be open? And if so, how does that work with your pilot car going through and having to catch the line going out and in?
We would prefer to discourage the use of that area, but it is not closed. We are actually talking with the BLM and looking at resource impacts and whether or not mitigating resource impacts because of the increased use of 26 necessitates limiting some of the use of that area, but it hasn't been done yet. We haven't seen a lot of off-route use in that area, which has been to the benefit. I know we're still early, but it's been to the benefit of those releases and not having conflict from somebody showing up at a random time back on the road. And so far it hasn't been an issue. We are aware that that need or that use can and probably will exist in that area. So.
Great. Next question is, will boats be able to pass under the bridge while it's under construction?
Yes. Yeah, and to answer, I mean, that is also good news, talking to the STEM approach. I mean, right now, last time we talked about maybe putting some barges in the Blue Mesa, and right now we're not going down that path. So that is good news for everyone.
It may increase the number of loop-de-loops on the water.
We will, for safety, want to have some sort of area that we don't go underneath that center span or one of the spans.
Great. We have somebody asking for quick clarification. So they didn't quite understand. Is County Road 26 and the Mid Bridge both being used over the 4th of July?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. Great. Next question is, will they stop pilot cars on County Road 26 and allow two-way traffic flow after they open the bridge to limited one-way traffic on July 4th?
Probably not. I don't want to speak for the county, but I would imagine that we would want to keep the control in place until things get into a kind of more normal pattern and we can all reevaluate.
Exactly. And I think you've already spoken to it. We plan on continuing to have these meetings. The exact method of traffic control when the bridge has one-way traffic hasn't been determined due to how much time they can spend on the bridge doing work or what the weight limit is, those sorts of things. So we're still working on the exact traffic management plan as we get one-way traffic across the bridge.
Great. And then reading through some of the comments and also understanding that there's some folks who may have joined us after our presentation, but can we speak a little bit more about what the limited openings will look like on the bridge?
I think what we answered that earlier in the discussion, but just to reiterate, I think we don't know all of the details yet because we're just at the point where the team has determined that the limited opening is possible if we can follow this critical path, which has the contingencies we've discussed. That means that over the next few weeks, the operations side of the team will have to work on what exactly that would look like. And, there's kind of a separate work stream of actually getting the safety work done so that it's possible and figuring out the operational cadence. And what we've said is that the next conversation will be devoted largely to talking about the operational cadence.
And one thing to consider is when there's traffic on the bridge, there will not be work happening on the bridge
because, you know, every bridge has some bounce to it. The quick deck below is magnified of that, so the more time the traffic is on the bridge, the less time we'll be working. Just so everyone understands that.
So you're saying that's complicated?
No.
I think we're getting a little ahead of where we are in terms of having the details ready, so, you know, I think the group is committed to coming back with a lot more detail on this. What we know as of today is that the construction team has spent a lot of the past 2 weeks trying to figure out the realm of the possible and getting enough work done to have that bridge able to safely carry some traffic, you know, if that critical path can be met. The question of how exactly and when it will be open for how long, you know, the directions is something that has to be worked out still. So I think we've kind of exhausted what we know in terms of specifics at this point. And that'll be the next meeting. We need a topic for our next gathering, don't we?
All right, next question is, are you planning to install automated traffic lights at the narrow cut up onto the plateau on 25?
We don't have any plan for traffic lights on County Road 25. If it became a primary detour, I think we would look at something similar to what we're doing on County Road 26.
Great, thank you. And the next question that we have is, where's the best place to check daily for updates/alerts of delays due to accidents or other activities that are not planned? And I believe this might be related to County Road 26, which I know Gunnison has text alert system, correct?
Yeah, we have a traffic alert system that you can access on GunnisonCounty.org and sign up for email alerts. And our emergency management center, if we saw a critical or extended change in the times, would immediately send out an email. So signing up on our alert system at GunnisonCounty.org, there's a banner on the top of the front page of our website. You click on that, there's a place to sign up for alerts. That is being updated by our local EOC who has their finger on the pulse. They've got the radio on for the flaggers at all times, and they're right next door to the dispatch and sheriff's office. So I think that would be your best way to get immediate information. If there are more release times, if another road opens like Kebler or Cottonwood, the release goes out on those right away, almost real time. So
the Cottonwood here, you're talking.
Cottonwood here, yes. County Road 209 is the one that's opening Friday. There's a Cottonwood over the hill that we don't mess with. So
Eagle County.
Yeah, in Eagle County.
Best to stay away from that one.
Great, and in addition to that too, and you know, that's great resource for County Road 26, but if you are traveling on state highways, we do also have cotrip.org, and you can also download our CoTrip Planner app. That will also give you updates about any closures within the area that are on state highways. We are getting a couple questions from those who may not have heard this earlier, but will there be pilot cars and timed travel on County Road 25?
Yeah, I just answered that one, but yeah, if County Road 25 became a primary detour, there would be traffic management on that road.
Great, and I know we're getting some repeat questions, but I know we've had some folks jump in later. When is work on Little Blue Canyon expected to be finished?
Right now, their schedule shows July. We're meeting with them tomorrow to find out, you know, if there's any way they can expedite that work and get out of there sooner. It'd be great if they could be done by the 4th of July, honestly.
Yeah. I think it's worth pointing out that the Little Blue Canyon is not a CDOT project. It's a federal highway project. And while they're all government agencies, it is not in the same house for who's in charge of the project. And so it is collaboration between CDOT and FHWA. Just to clarify that, they're not two CDOT projects back to back.
All right, we're dwindling down on our questions online. quite a few of these have been answered already for County Road 25. We do have one individual who would like us to make sure that our pilot cars are going the speed limit, especially as they're piloting trailers through the area. So just we had a couple comments about that, but we are wrapping up here in the next 3 minutes. So I'm going to pass it over to those our speakers at the table. If there's any closing remarks that you would like for folks to take away from this meeting.
Yes, for those who are in the room, get a sandwich. We will be doing a similar presentation tomorrow evening in Montrose. So if folks are in the Montrose area and looking to attend an in-person session, many of us will be at the same session. It's slightly different mix of folks, but it will be kind of a repeat for those who've been here tonight. But if you're in the Montrose area and want to continue the conversation in person, come join us at that. And we will look to schedule another update like this probably in roughly 2 weeks. That cadence seems to be working for getting information out. So we'll look to stay with what we know is getting content out to folks. And, again, just to kind of repeat what we've talked about. I think the next conversation will hopefully be able to go much deeper into what that limited reopening would look like and how the kind of interface between the county routes and, a weight and time reduced US 50 would look for the duration of the summer. And we will keep folks posted other ways if new information arises in between. Thanks for coming.
Great, thank you so much, Shoshana. And we're going to put up a slide really quickly to show our contact information. If you have any questions that you are thinking of as we are concluding the meeting, you can always email us at us50bridge@gmail.com. We also have a hotline that you can call us and leave a voicemail if you have any questions about County Road 26, about the bridge repairs, the inspections. We will get back to you. We also have our website that we are updating with all of our different fact sheets regarding everything you're hearing today. We will also be posting the recording of the public meeting tonight. And all of our contact information is on there as well as a link to the new US 50 bridge closure Facebook page. Our partners over at Gunnison County are doing an incredible job of keeping that updated with up-to-date information that you need. But we really do appreciate everybody joining us this evening. We know that this has been very impactful to your communities, and we do know that taking out time in your evening to hear from us is really valuable just for everybody to be informed. So again, really appreciate everybody joining tonight, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. And we'll try to get that slide up really quickly, but our interpreters are going to be logging off, and then we'll have that slide up with our contact information. Here it's coming. There we go.
Stacia, can you please let everyone know where and when the meeting in Montrose is tomorrow?
Yes. So the meeting in Montrose tomorrow is going to be at the Montrose County Event Center. And that's going to also be at 6:30. That will be in person only. And that's going to be a town hall again with everybody who's in the room here, as well as Representative Catlin, as well as some other Montrose County elected officials. But again, that'll be at the Montrose County Event Center.
Stacia, just one quick correction. Several of us will be in Montrose tomorrow. I think there's a few different subject matter experts because of availability. So you'll see a few of the technical folks who are not here tonight, and then a few folks had commitments and couldn't make it. But I'll be there. Jason will be there. And as Stacia mentioned, Representative Catlin will be there too.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
That's the forks.